having that issue where I can't type into the chat. Sorry.
Oh, I'm in the chat. Let me get out of it.
I don't think that's it. This keeps happening to me.
Welcome, welcome. We'll give the few stragglers a chance to come on in, but this is being recorded, so remember that. Wow, people from all over. Well, hello, California, Vegas, baby. The big
Dallas.
D. I know the big D. My musical theater daughter sang a song about being from the big D. Dallas, Indiana, New Hampshire, California. All right. Anyway, let me introduce myself and the team here. I'm Leslie Rogowski, the creative director for the Beadsmith. Happy to be here on behalf of Michaels with my #1 partner in crime, Leslie Pope. We are Team Leslie at the Beadsmith. And Lindsay is our tech guru. She's tuning in and going to monitor everything and switch back and forth for the views for us. And hopefully no one will have any tech issues and she can just enjoy the whole lesson. And speaking of lessons, today's lesson is ta-da, Macrame 401. So I want to remind you again that this is being recorded. You are not expected to, nor should you expect yourself to be doing this along with me today. I actually timed myself, and I'm going to be able to do this whole pendant from start to finish, step by step for you in less than an hour. So when you go back to the recording, which will be on the Michaels page, you'll see a link for that to go back to it. And the tutorial you can print out or download from a link that's been posted a couple times in the chat window. It's right up at the very top, and it's also being posted a few times. Thanks, Leslie Pope. And so you'll be able to print out all the pages. You can see this is what we're going to do, and I am going to follow step by step through my own tutorial. So I make sure that I'm not doing anything just intuitively, and it's actually what I'm telling you to do. All right, for this project, the Macrame Naturals necklace, you're going to learn a couple really traditional popular stitches for macrame. And then here's the necklaces. Same necklace, different colors and different findings for the endings. You're going to use one of the findings. You'll see packs at Michaels that some of them are metal. I like the wood ones a lot. And we're going to add beads. And these findings have a loop at the top, so you'll be able to get yourself some chain or a nice ribbon or something and attach it with the jump ring at the top. Of course, the cord. The cord is this really nice, very, very soft, kind of thick cord, a very, very natural, organic feeling. Now, because of that, it does tend to unwind a little bit and kind of become a little almost like hairy. But it's okay because this is a very organic project. And of course, you want the Beadsmith mini macrame board. You'll see when I set this up how this helps you. It is such a useful tool. It's a lightweight foam. It's, what is it, about 7 by 10 inches. And you can see that it has a grid on it with numbers, which we're not going to use for this project. And then the notches on the side where you can pull your cords and help keep things in position. And the grid definitely helps you keep things straight as you're knotting on here. But for today's lesson, so there's not a conflict visually, I'm going to use the back of a board. Another handy thing to have for this, you're going to need are pins, straight pins. You can find T-pins, which look exactly like that. It's a little metal T. I have no idea where I put my pack of Michael's T-pins. So forgive me, I'm just using long, straight Quilters pins. They're a little longer and the heads are a little bigger. I'm sure you can find them at Michael's as well. You're going to need a scissors to be able to cut the cords and a pliers to work the jump ring on the component. And let's see what else. And then at the end, we're going to use, I have like a little baby toothbrush that I use to comb out the fringes. But I also have a heavier duty, just an inexpensive little hairbrush with the plastic bristles. And that really does a nice job. And it's very fun. It takes me back to my days of playing with troll dolls and the hair on troll dolls. All right. So the one tip I have for you to start with has to do with the cords twisting, like I had mentioned. And if they do, just take a moment to stop and sort of retwist them. It's very easy to see the direction that they're going to go. First thing you're going to do, you have two different colors in this project, a dark and a light. So in the tutorial, color A is the dark and color B is the light. You're going to cut 3 pieces 25 inches long of color A and 2 pieces 25 inches long of color B. And then for later, we're going to add some cord to it to expand so you have a broader fringe at the bottom. And those pieces, you're going to cut 2 19-inch piece cords. So I think these are my long ones and these are my short ones. All right. You can leave the jump ring on or take it off. It's really not in the way. But the first thing you're going to do is fix your cords onto your component. And we're going to make lark's head knots, starting with one of the 3 longer dark cords. Find the middle by folding it in half. There's the middle. And you're going to insert the loop through your finding and reach through and pull the cords. Make sure your ends are even. And you definitely want to make sure you know you're putting the loop through the right way, because it has this little section showing on the front, this little loop that we pulled through. If you look at the other side, the cords are coming from inside out. Later, we're going to make these backward knots, lark's head knots, because we don't want that extra bit of cord showing. So there's one. Now we're going to take one of the lighter cords, fold it in half, find the center, and put a lighter cord on either side. Again, you're going to go in this way from front to back, reach through, pull the cords through, make sure the ends are even, and pull it nice and snug. So the middle cord, which is your gray cord, is going to be at the where the little elbow is in the bottom of this particular component. We're going to do this again until we have all 5 cords lark's head knotted on. Through front to back, reach through, pull the cords through, keep them even. And you can see that I'm like wiggling them back and forth to pull that part of the knot nice and snug against the cords that are already there. Now we find the middle of the other 2 cords. You can see how this is starting to come unwrapped, and I can just twist, you can just twist it back. And actually the very ends of your cords, it's okay if that happens, because we're going to brush them into fringe and they'll probably get trimmed away anyway by the time we're finished. All right, let's put another lark's head on the other side of the light one. On this side. and a lark's head on the other side of the other light. Front to back and pull the ends through. There we go. Now we're going to pin the component to the board so we have something that gives us something firm, because we're going to be yanking on these a little bit. And I just take my pins, your T-pins or your straight pins, and I put them in a couple places to keep this still. And I'm putting it up close to the top just to give myself the maximum part of the board to work on. Okay, where in the instructions does it tell you to cut the cords? It's further down along step 18. I cut them and told you about them in the beginning because I had them here. All right, so I'm going to put one pin there, and I'm going to angle a pin on either side in the corner here so my component doesn't really move around. And these are really jammed into the foam nice. It's very satisfying to stick them in there. Okay. The first thing we're going to do, here's the finished necklace, and you can see the lark's head knots are in the brown and white across the top. Now you see these sort of coils that are going this way and this way. That's what we're going to do next. These are made with hitches. I'm going to start with the cord on my right, and the hitches are going to be made with these cords around this cord. So in order to have this cord so it doesn't pull sideways like this, I'm going to put a pin next to the piece and the cord. It's not through the cord. It's in between the two cords into the board. And what happens with that is it gives me something to pull against. So pins are very handy. The notches on the side are also handy for this, because as you're doing your hitches, I'm going to do the first one, and then you'll see that by just snugging the cord in, it gives you again this firm tension on the holding cord. That's what this is. But for the first one, it doesn't leave me very much room to pull that cord over tight yet. So I have the cord from the far right, and the next cord in, and I'm going to bring it up over the cord, the holding cord, and through the loop, like tying up your shoe for the first time. But make sure your holding cord is the one coming across the other cords. And I'm going to pull that up snug to the lark's head, and I'm going to do it again. Bring my working cord up over the holding cord, down behind the holding cord, and through the loop, and pulling it nice and snug because I want that coil that we're making to stay close to it. I'm going to do another one with the white cord. You might be able to see better. Bring it up over the holding cord, under the holding cord, and through the loop I just made. I'm pulling it close, and I'm going to repeat that. Up over the holding cord, under and through the loop, and down. Now I'm going to pull my holding cord into one of the notches, and that's going to help me. I'm still going to pull on this, but that's going to help me to make the knots and keep them secure. I'm going to move this in a little bit so that I keep the direction of the coil. So up over the holding cord, back under and through the loop. And when you do it twice with each cord, and we're going to do this all the way across. And I think I'm going to move this right now. You can see where if you were doing straight things, the grid on the other side would really be helpful. Another hitch. One hitch. Coming from under, over, back under through the loop. Remember, you do it twice. with each cord. And we're going to go all the way across. One hitch, over, under, through the loop. Is there a micro macrame class video in Michael's library? Somebody's asking while I'm doing this. Not yet, but there will be.
I was going to say I was answering that.
Oh, good. We'll do this all the way across. And you can see that I'm pulling on my cord to keep the coil in that nice curve. And these are just tricks that you learn, and they'll become more intuitive as you work. And here's the last one. Now we're going to do the same thing for the second coil. Pull that cord out. So there's the first one. I'm taking the pin out that held this on the side. And now we're going to use that same holding cord that we just made all our hitches around. We're going to work back across this way. So again, I'm putting the pin not through any of the cords, but in the board right at the end there. So I have something to pull against. And we're going to go back and we're going to do it exactly the same way. Around and over the holding cord, back under and through the loop, and make sure you're pulling those knots up against the previous coil. And we're going to go all the way back across. Everybody getting this while I'm doing it? Over the holding cord, under and through the loop. Over the holding cord, back under and through the loop. And you do it again. It's the second hitch of each set here with the cord that holds that in position. And at this point, you can put this cord into the notch to keep the end out of the way. You know, when you're working on pieces with longer cord, it's really helpful to be able to keep that out of the way there. And just a little bit of ease so that I can manipulate it around it for my knots, my hitches. Under the holding cord, through the loop, and I'm pulling it up against the coil. Remember to make 2.
So we have a question.
Yeah.
Are you going to reverse the direction with the knot? Not quite sure what that means.
Well, with this, it let me see. It doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter.
Because you sort of go back and forth. You go
I'm doing
left to right, and then you go right to left.
The thing that you're doing is the second time you do the cord. It's actually a good question. The second time you use that same cord, you do the first part of your hitch, you're just moving in the different direction, but it's actually the same motion of the knot. You're just working back in the other direction. And you can see the stripes forming here. So you're coming from underneath, back, over the holding cord and through the loop. It's the same that I did before, except now I'm making the second hitch on the other side because I'm going in that direction. So you're moving your knotting in a different direction, but the knots are actually the same. This definitely takes me back to my hippie days. I did so much macrame, hats, purses, planners. All right, there's your 2 coils. I'm going to take that out. They look pretty nice and tidy. And I forgot to mention, and a very important supply, because this is our next part, the beads. goodness. Like these have big hole beads. You can find at Michael's. These are tube findings, and that's what I'm going to use today. And that really adds some richness to your macrame. You can put any kind of beads on here that fit. You only need 3 of them. And I want you to see the size of the holes that are in this. You want the holes to be large enough for the cords to go through. And they are on display with the macrame supplies. All right. So I'm going to work.
Laura says it looks good even without the beads.
I think so too.
Yeah. Well, but you know, my motto is everything is better with beads on it.
That's right. You know, it all depends. I'm looking around because I did have I called it a pennant. I did have a little macrame thing hanging up just as decor, and it had no beads on it at all. But it definitely can elevate a piece when you bring metal in it, and it adds a different texture. If you're going to use wood or ceramic or something, you can really add to it. But absolutely, it's, you know, there's something very chic about being minimal. Sometimes, lots of times, less is more. Somebody's asking, where are the macrame supplies in Michael's? They're probably different in every store. You know, in the 2 stores that are near where I live, they're right up near the front, which is great. But they're going to be near your jewelry, wherever the jewelry aisle is. That's what they're going to be near. Okay, so the first thing, I'm going to take 4 cords on the left and just move them out of the way, and 4 cords on the right. That's just to keep them out of the way. The center bead goes on 2 cords. And I'm taking my cords and I'm just twisting them to make, you know, a skinnier area. I'm not using a tool or anything, and I'm just going to pull them right through. You can use, excuse me, a crochet hook, but you want to be careful when you do that to just grab the very tippy ends of your cord, because they'll pull the weave. You know, they'll pull it, they'll untwist it. So that's why I just used my fingers. So you're going to string 1 bead on the 2 middle cords. Then we're going to put, all right, these 2 cords are going to be knotted around the center cords. Now you're going to take the 2nd cord in from the right, and you're going to string a bead on that. Pull that up. And you're going to take the 2nd cord in from the left and put a bead on that. Excuse me for being a little bit froggy. Living in Pennsylvania, it's probably the
allergy season.
Oh my God, right? I think Pennsylvania and Tennessee are the worst states to live in if you're allergic to everything that grows. All right, so.
Georgia.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. That's true. Sometimes pharmaceuticals are a must-have for that. All right. So you can see I have 4 cords in the middle and 3 on either side. We're going to make the same knots, square knots, going down the board. And again, I'm going to start on the middle. And the only difference is that we only have 1 cord in the center of the square knot, and the middle cord has 2 and then 1. So here's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to take the 2 cords and I'm going to tuck them side by side because they're a little bulky to go in one, to keep my holding cords taut. Take the cord on the right. Here, we'll get these out of the way. Take the cord on the right and bring it over your holding cords. Take the cord on the left. Am I doing this right? Let's do it like the instructions show you the other way. Take the cord on the left. Make an angle from left to right across your holding cords. Take the cord on your right and bring it down. See how it makes a number 4? That's a good way to remember that you're doing it right. Cord on the left over, cord on the right down. Bring the cord on the right under your holding cords and up through the loop of the 4. And this makes what I call the pretzel. That's the first half of a square knot. And you're doing it around those holding cords. You're going to pull it snug, not too snug because you don't want to distort the shape, but you're going to pull it so the bead sits nice and firm in that little spot. Now we're going to do the reverse. Now we're going to do a backwards 4. We're going to bring the right cord from right to left over the holding cords and the left cord down over it. And you can see it's a backwards 4.
Or P.
4 or a P. There you go, Miss Leslie Pope. And you're going to bring the end of the cord under your holding cord and up through the loop. There's your little pretzel shape again. That is a square knot. Now we're going to leave that and we're going to do the same thing to the other 2 sets of cords, only these just have 1 cord in the center. So I'm going to tuck it down, my middle cord, I'm going to tuck it down sort of at an angle just to give it a good place to do it. Make your 4, left cord over the holding cord. You can see that's a 4, but remember that you want to bring the other cord down over. That's your 4. This one's 2-tone. Bring it under the holding cord and up through the loop. Make your little pretzel. Pull that snug. Now we're going to do it backwards. Right cord over left, left cord down, over the cord you just brought over. Take the end of that cord under the holding cord and up through the loop. Make your little pretzel. Pull it snug. There's a square knot. Okay, I'm going to loosen that and we're going to do it on the other side. We bring the center cord down, put it in the notch at the bottom. Make sure your bead's up there. Make the 4, left over the center cord, right cord down. I'm pulling my bead mat. Right cord over that cord. Then we're going to go under the holding cord and up through the loop. Make your pretzel, pull it snug. Now the right cord goes for the backwards 4 over your holding cord. Your left cord comes down under the holding cord and up through the loop. And you're going to pull that. Look at that, 3 square knots. All right. Now remember what we did here to do the coils? We're going to do that again, but in this stage, this is where we're going to add those 2 19-inch cords that we cut earlier. This is where we're at step 18 in the tutorial. When you follow the paper tutorial, I've already cut these. So first, we're going to make sure our knots are nice and snug. And I want you to pull on the middle cord as you do that and make sure that it's not caught up or snagged. It's kind of hard to undo these once they're made just because the cord's fray. Not impossible, but we're going to take a pin and we're going to put it next to, but not through the cords, because this is going to be our new holding cord. And we're going to repeat what we did up here in how we make the hitches. Bring it under and over. I'm pulling my holding cord. And we're going to do it again. Don't get mixed up with which cord is your holding cord. You can put it in the notch to help you. And now I'm going to do 1 white cord over and through and over and through. Now I'm going to add some white. And we're going to make lark's head knots. I'm going to find the middle, bring the ends together, find the middle of the cord, and we're going to make lark's head knots like this. But here's where I don't want to have the extra bulk of that little loop showing. So instead of going through this way, if I did it this way, where I went over the top and then pulled the knot, this would be showing. I don't want that. So I'm going to go under the holding cord and pull my strings through this way. And that way it looks just like the hitches. I'm going to continue with the hitches. I'm going to do the next white one. Pull it up. And you want to make sure that these are pulled up in a nice arc underneath the square knots. So the ones on the side are going to be a little higher than the ones in the middle. Make my second part of that hitch. And I'm going to do one of the two center cords in the same way, in this direction. Over the holding cord and down, over and through the loop and down. Now I'm going to undo the cord that was over to the side, and we're going to work this one to meet, the two holding cords are going to meet in the center. So I'm going to take this pin out and I'm going to put it in my board to give myself something to hold this holding cord against, and I'm going to pull this into a notch on the other side. Bring it around and through the loop. Bring it over and under and through the loop. And make sure that it's pushed up against that square knot. And we're going to continue to do this in that direction towards the middle. From underneath, over the holding cord, through, over, oh, did that twice, okay. I want to make sure that it's pulled up. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot to add the other cord, didn't I? Yes, I did. Okay. We're going to add the second 19-inch cord. I thought that looked skimpy. And we're going to bring the loop, the middle part of the cord, underneath the holding cord. Pull your ends through. So that little part that shows is going to be on the back. So that's where the other 19-inch cord went. Now we can keep making our hitches with the cords that are already there. Bring it around. And around and through, and around and through. Now, this is the last hitch. They don't get attached together. You're going to bring it around and through. Make sure it's up against the square knot and around and through. And you can remove this. And they just stay like that. Move this from the other side. So there is a tiny little gap, but when it's together, you don't see it. We're almost done. Once you have this, the next step is to make overhand knots in every single cord. And here's how you do that. You're going to bring your cord, doesn't matter which side you start. All the overhand knots are going in the same direction to keep it uniform. Bring the cord and fold it in half. Bring what's now on the left over to the right and bring it through that loop. Pull it until it's right up against those other knots. Right up against it. Let's do that again. We fold the cord, bring this left part over the right, underneath, and through. Now I'm holding that loop because I'm going to pull that hitch, that overhand knot, sorry, up to my square knot. And now we have overhand knot up to the hitch, I'm sorry. All right, so from left to right, around and through. And we're going to do that all the way across. And then we get to the fringes, which is really fun. As long as you keep doing it this way, from the left over to the right, these overhand knots are all going to resemble each other, like siblings. Push that all the way up. Oh, this cord is so nice and soft. I want to knit and crochet with it. Here's folded in half, left to right, over, and up to those hitches. Folded in half, left side over right, up and under, and through that little loop. And can you see how they all sort of have the wrap part of the knot going in the same direction? So it looks really nice and uniform. And you're just going to keep doing that. You're not going to change your direction. You're going to keep making those overhand knots. And don't pull them tight until you have that pulled up against the hitches that we made before. Fold it in half, left over right, under and through. Then I grab the loop and I nudge this up and then I pull it tight. Fold it, left over right and through. Hold that little loop, pull it up. 3 more. And we'll be ready for the fringe. So you can see there's not a lot of thread. You're not going to run out of cord when you do this. Just make sure that your knots are nudged up against the hitches so they behave nice. Last one, fold it in half, bring the left part over the right, under and up through the loop. Grab the loop and push that up against. There we go. Take that out. All right then, so in my design, I wanted the angle of the fringe to reflect the angle in the finding that I'm using, in the end component. If you have something that's round, you might want to keep it round, but you can cut it in any way that you want. Just remember, you're going to want to cut it on the longer side than you might want when you're finished, because after you brush it out, it needs a trim. It's going to look like COVID fringe before we get it all nice and tidy. So I usually start from the middle out if I want to have an angle, a nice even angle. And I'm just going to slide my scissors, a nice sharp scissors under it, and cut up the side. There we go. Now, when you cut the other side, you want to pay attention to the length of your short cords. So I put my finger there and I hold that till I get my scissors in position, and then I know about how short I'm going to do it. It's just an eyeball thing. But you can see how you don't want to cut it too short at first, because I want to give yourself some room here to trim these out nice. And you can go back in and trim them a little bit more. This one's a little long. Now, you can take your toothbrush or your little hairbrush, and you're going to go fringe by fringe. I'm going to untwist the cords and help myself out here and pull these so that they're, you know, almost fringed, kind of undone. And little by little, I'm going to just start to brush at them, and they'll start to open up more, and you can help them out with your fingers to pull them out of the spiral that they come in. You can do that all the way across. There we go. You can see I didn't pull my knot up as close as I wanted. Nobody knows but us. Shh. Okay. And you can take your brush, and I'm going to put my finger over the knots because I don't want to catch the knots. So here I'll use a little toothbrush, but you can see how they're starting to come undone. Kind of work your way up from the bottom, and you can help yourself out. And eventually they're all going to be nice and combed out like this. And you'll see that there's little flyaway ends. You can go back in with your scissors and trim them to be nice and tidy and even. Same with this. This one I did this morning to make sure that I could do the whole thing for you in an hour, and I did it just for you. You can see how nice and soft these fringes look. You can go back in and trim them. And when you wear it, they certainly have a little party when you're wearing them. There you go. All right, you want to give me the spotlight there. So you can see how it's going to hang. This is the silver one. This is the natural one.
Lots of compliments, lots of compliments.
There you go. You can see, you know, without the beads, it would still be really cool looking. You can play with color. You can actually, if you wanted to, before you made the overhand knots on here, you could string beads on each cord to line up between this coil and the overhand knots. Give it your own spin, your own style. There's some really, really lovely colors of cords. I used contrast so you guys could really see the knots that I was making. So what's the dangle called again? These are officially Bead Landing Assorted Creations Hexagonal Wood Component. That's what this is. That's what this is.
And it's listed in the
it's listed, yes. And I don't know if I can lay my hands on. They have some other cool shapes too. There was like a triangle one in the wood. Oh, here it is. The wood components, they had one that looked like this too.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah, I like this a lot too, but the piece that I ended up starting to make was kind of narrow, and I really wanted something splashy for the video. So, and I think there might be a couple others, and the same with the metal components that come in silver and gold. They had some that were more angular than the one that I chose to do. And you can see I picked like a kind of an Indonesian bead to go in that.
I like that one though too.
Yeah. Yeah, so that adds even more texture to it. All fun. all recorded for you, all written down with step-by-step photos in the tutorial, everything that I showed you. Do I have any other pieces I've made? You mean macrame? That's Rachel. Well, not that I can lay my hands on.
Yeah, the 3 other classes are in the
But
the Michael's class library.
since you brought it up, at the end of every tutorial I do, I list all the classes that I've done up to that time. So other macrame, this is Kumihimo. Other macrame classes that I've done, I did 3 other ones. Adjustable cuffs, all of them. And there's the necklace that we did today.
Yes, the Beadsmith is a company name.
Yes, it is.
Or
Yeah, the Beadsmith is a global wholesaler of beads and jewelry making supplies, and they're located in North Jersey. Leslie Pope and I live in Philadelphia, and we work from our studios. We live close to each other, which is nice. So you guys, thanks so much. Are there any other questions? You can get the PDF for past classes on the Michael site. Need to look for, and I'm sorry I don't have that link for you, but all the classes that I've done have tutorials. All the other bead classes and component classes. Kumihimo, macrame. There's one on a micro engraver. There's a very cool looper tool that I demoed. And centerline components, which use seed beads and make really cool looking stuff too.
So Leslie Wagner says that she's really enjoying making the Kumihimo projects. Looking forward to micro macrame classes.
I'm looking forward to that too. So I think over the summer, I don't have a date for you right now, but over the summer, I think that we're going to see some more of that. And there, you don't have to add beads to that either, but boy, does it make it more fun for some of us. So everybody, thank you so much. Thanks to Leslie Pope. Thanks to Lindsay. Thanks to Michaels and the Beadsmith. Please continue to stay safe. We are not through this yet. And we love beads.
We love beads.
We love beads. Thanks. Bye, everybody.